Hello, you kings and queens. Thank you so much for tuning in for another Fat Electrician reaction with me, Recky. If you do enjoy the content you're currently going to watch, smack the like and, of course, hit that subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. That's how I know you do enjoy the content you're currently watching. Going back to Fat Electrician is definitely one of my favorite things to do. If you haven't checked out the Fat Electrician, you find links for the channel and, of course, for this video we're going to watch located all the way down in the description. Go there and give them the support that they so much deserve. We've done a few, and this one is 43 Mailmen Fight the Germans, the first battle of World War II. I can't even imagine what the stories are going to be about. Of course, it's going to be about 43 Mailmen fight the Germans, but how and why did 43 Mailmen fight in the war? Where was it? I cannot even make a qualified guess. Is it? I don't think it's going to be American Mailmen, right? It's going to be probably like French or could it be, can it be British? Like the British create their own, no, maybe the Americans just created their own like battalion of really angry mailmen that said that we want to go and beat the crap out of the Nazis. And I don't know. It's completely mind-blowing directly. I have no clue how this is going to end or how it's going to start. But we start with thanking the channel members and the Patreon. Thank you so much for the incredible support. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you. A shout out to the Supreme Tier donators over by Patreon and, of course, on channel membership. God bless and thank you. Thank you. Personal shout outs to the Ultimate supporters Deja, Walt, Dwayne, Kevin, Dana, Troy, Sarah, Robert, Matt, Lon, and Barbara. Thank you. Thank you. Let's find out. Mailmen. Mailmen.
All right, let me set the scene for you. It's September 1st, 1939. It's Friday, but you've got a job. You've got stuff to do because you're a Polish mailman and you just got to work. So you grab your packages and you set out to go.
I'm a bit pissed off that Poland wasn't a thing I guessed on. 1939, Germany is going to invade Poland. 43 Polish mailmen get super pissed off. Now the scene is set.
Deliver the mail, and right as you step outside the post office, a bunch of armored vehicles pull up full of German SS soldiers, and they inform you that you're going to surrender or else. Do you A, surrender, or B, go back in the post office and proceed to get in a firefight with the Germans for the next 19 hours? Today we're talking
19 hours. Oh, I love this. Oh, I'm getting all freaking juiced up. Learning things.
Talking about the most gangster post office of all time and the first battle of World War II, when 43 Polish mailmen went toe-to-toe with the German SS for 19 hours. But first, a word from our sponsors. This video is brought to you by my favorite sporting goods store, Shields. They've got over 35 retail locations all across the United States. And if you can't make it to one of these incredible retail locations, they also have an even better online store that I'm going to have linked in the description down below. And of course, our newest sponsor, Zaka Life Go Balm. It's made in the USA, 100% organic, full spectrum CBD balm that you can put on any ache, any sprain, or athletic injury, and it's going to make it immediately feel better. This is one of the few times that I've actually approached a company to rep their product and not the other way around, because I actually use this stuff, okay? I'm 30, I'm fat, I've been doing construction for years, things hurt, this makes it not hurt. So if you're in the same boat as me, go ahead and give this stuff a try over at ZakaLife.com. Use the discount code FAT5 to save some money. Let's get back to the video.
I could probably use that.
All right, important background info. This is the German Empire before World War I. Got it? Okay, great. This is the German Empire after World War I. Notice how Poland cuts it in two, and at the very tippy top of Poland, there is the free city of Danzig. Okay, what is a free city, and why does that map seem to imply that it is its own country? Well, because basically it is. It is its own sovereign entity with its own passports, its own currency,
from World War I.
Form of government. You see, at the end of World War I, when they were negotiating the Treaty of Versailles, both Germany and Poland really wanted dominion over the city of Danzig, because as you can see,
after Germany lost the First World War, they weren't really happy because a bunch of the, especially Danzig and yeah, right. I feel stupid now because I forgot what to say. Yeah, that's
It's built on the coast of a perfect geographic harbor. This made it a major port city and an economic powerhouse, which is why Germany and Poland were both fighting over it. And they were fighting over it for so long that it would end up holding up the entire Treaty of Versailles. And finally, the League of Nations stepped in and they're like, hey, okay, well, now neither one of you are going to get it. It's going to be its own sovereign entity, its own little thing. Whatever, we don't have time for this. Moving on. So the Free City of Danzig was founded in 1920. However, considering that pretty much the entire population was either German or Polish, Danzig decided that they were going to grant a bunch of extraterritorial properties to either country, and one of those properties would be the Polish post office, which was just that, sovereign Polish territory. And that's pretty much all the background info you need. So fast forward to April 1939, things are getting real tense between Poland and Germany. Hitler's been in power for the last 6 years, the Nazi movement is well underway, and for the last couple of years, a ton of hardcore Nazis referred to as the brown shirts have basically been trying to intimidate Polish people to move out of Danzig so they can reestablish it as part of Germany. Poland, seeing this, decides, hey, they might try something soon on our extraterritorial properties, so we're going to take a single army combat engineer by the name of Konrad Gdarsky. We're going to send him over to the post office. He's going to help fortify that position and teach all the mailmen how to fight.
Wow.
That way, hopefully, they'll be able to hold the post office for like an hour or two while the army has time to get in there and defend it. So Konrad shows up at the post office. He's got a bunch of pistols, some carbines, a couple of crates of grenades, and 3 Browning 1928s, which, as you can see, is just the Polish equivalent of the American BAR.
Yeah,
At this point, there's 56 people working at the post office.
It actually looked like the a BAR too. Look at that. Well, the BAR has a longer wooden thing right over here, and it feels like the BAR might be actually a bit lighter than the Polish version of it. Did you say what caliber? The BAR? Oh, I don't know what caliber that is.
Is just the Polish equivalent of the American BAR. At this point, there's 56 people working at the post office. Konrad explains the situation, says he's taking volunteers for who wants to be part of the security force in case shit goes down. 42 people volunteer. He then begins training them and giving them a battle plan, and everybody else is just going to go run and hide in the basement if anything does go down. So for the next 4 months, Konrad is both training the mailmen and building up fortifications. He ends up establishing one of the mailmen as the second in command, and that is Alphonse Flizakovsky. All right, fast forward September 1st, 1939. It's Friday. All the mailmen show up. They start getting their packages together, and while they're all in the post office getting ready to go out on the routes, 180 German SS soldiers roll up with 3 armored cars equipped with 20mm guns and cut the power to the building. Okay, it is like 4 o'clock in the morning, and the German military just rolled up and cut the power. The mailmen are like, oh, we're doing this. All right, so they go, they get their guns, they head up to the second story and stick their guns out the window pointed at the Germans. And it is now a complete standoff between the German SS and the Polish post office. So they're having this military grade standoff, and then a bunch of civilians start showing up, like newspaper journalists and radio stations, and people are breaking out cameras and they're recording, and then just a giant mass of civilians shows up to watch. And as it turns out, they've all been invited by the Nazis to come and bear witness to the great German military retaking the city of Danzig. So
this is small things. It's a great war. But this is the World War II, and there was countless of different battles throughout 1939 all the way up to 1945. We know a lot of them. The Battle of Bulge. I mean, the great battles in Africa, and we know all about this because we have read about it. But there is small specks in the war that we will never find out about if it wasn't for the fat electrician to pinpoint those small battles that was going on that no one knows about. Who in their right mind will actually think, oh, I want to see who else fought in the war. Maybe Mailmen actually did this, and maybe German SS brought in 188 soldiers, SS soldiers with armored vehicles, and invited the civilization to just gaze in awe. And they completely stood there for 19 hours. 19 hours. And I'm already fearing that 43 mailmen will probably not survive, and it's making me freaking sad.
So once they all show up and get the cameras up and rolling, then the head of the SS walks forward and makes an announcement to the front of the post office, basically saying, hey, why don't you guys just come out and surrender, give this post office back to the Germans that you stole it from. Clearly he was anticipating that a bunch of mailmen would just surrender, turning over the post office completely intact, making a great piece of propaganda for the Nazi war machine, showing that the Polish were just surrendering at the mere sight of the great German army. But what he got instead was 43 Polish mailmen that responded with,
how about no?
So now the leader of the SS is absolutely furious because his little publicity stunt just backfired, and now the Polish mailmen are making him look bad. So
who shoots first?
He's absolutely gonna attack. But here's the thing: he has to attack and try to preserve the post office itself to not destroy the building, because that's the whole point. They're trying to reclaim the city, not destroy it. But then nothing happens for like half an hour. It's still just a standoff, and the Polish mailmen are like, "Are we fighting or not? What's happening here? Are we just gonna stand here all day pointing guns?"
All right, who do you think shoots first? Let me know in the comment section. I'm going to say Germans. Really. If you don't know the story about this, if you haven't seen this, you're allowed to do this. Write in the comment section, who do you think shoot first? I'm still going to say Germans.
At each other, what's the deal? So they waited, and they waited what felt like an eternity, but in reality, it was only half an hour, because at 4:45 a.m., there would be a huge explosion off in the distance, and that explosion would be the guns of the German battleship, the Schleswig von Holstein, firing on a Polish military outpost. And these are the first shots of World War II, officially starting the invasion of Poland. This would also be the signal for the SS to begin their attack on the post office as they open fire. Here's the thing with that: the mailmen were inside of a brick building.
I actually thought that the Polish were gonna shoot first. I had no clue. But again, I was like pretty sure that the Nazis want to do the shooting first. How embarrassing to think that you have the mere sight of your forces to be like hauntingly, to just get them to, hey, I'm not doing this. Look at those guys, man. This is the SS. I'm going to give up and go out and hopefully I can survive. These guys said, no, heck no.
On the second story with machine guns, and the 180 Nazis were standing out in the middle of the street with 3 armored cars. So as soon as the Polish defenders opened fire with their BARs, the Nazis realized that they had made a strategic fucking error, as all of them frantically ran, and all 180 of them tried to hide behind these 3 armored cars. So now all the Nazis are pinned down behind these 3 armored cars, and the 3 armored cars turn their turrets with their 20mm guns and begin firing on the front door, trying to break it in so that all the soldiers can rush into the building. So the mailmen, realizing what they're doing, they grab their rifles, their grenades, and their BARs, and they run downstairs and set up firing positions behind the service counter of this post office, as all the guns are just aimed at the front door, waiting for the Germans to break through it and rush in. Do you understand what I'm telling you right now? World War II literally started off like a shitty joke. 180 Nazis walk into a BAR. So the Nazis finally blow open the front door, and 10 of them come running inside, to which the mailmen are like,
"You've got mail."
4 of them are killed immediately, and another 6 are wounded as the entire German advance screeches to a halt, and they turn around and are forced to retreat as they come to the painful realization that the Polish mailmen are quite literally hitting their birth certificates.
Well, I think that the Germans, as per usual, miscalculated everything. They thought there were like 43 mailmen with old crappy hunting rifles and pistols. They had no clue that they were in there packing some serious heat.
With the return to sender stamp. Now, to be completely fair, there's another battle happening at this exact moment in Danzig over in the naval shipyard. However, it is entirely within the realm of possibility that these 4 Nazis were the first men to die in World War II. And it was from mailmen with machine guns. As soon as the initial wave of Germans fell back, there was a huge explosion on the other end of the post office. Konrad Gadersky takes off running towards it with nothing more than his pistol and some grenades. As he gets there, he turns the corner, seeing that the Germans had blown an enormous hole hole in the brick wall of the post office as he begins throwing grenades into an entire platoon of Germans attempting to advance on him before being gunned down. Conrad was credited with killing 4 Germans with those grenades and giving the postmen just enough time to get to that position and defend themselves, again driving the Nazis back and forcing them to retreat. And again, we don't know this for sure because
they're gonna ultimately just tear down the entire building because it's just gonna be super embarrassing.
There's another battle happening at this exact moment, but it is entirely within the realm of possibility that Konrad Gdarsky has just become the first man to give his life fighting against the Nazis. With the Germans retreating and Konrad Gdarsky down, the second man in charge, Alphonse Flizakovsky, rises to the occasion and begins instructing all the other postal workers what to do, getting them back into a fighting position, anticipating a third attack. But the Germans are so mad and so embarrassed that their publicity stunt is failing this bad that they don't want to risk it, and they decide that they're going to call for backup. Bear in mind, it's like 5 o'clock in the morning right now, and the Germans wait 6 hours until they can get reinforced by the regular German army, and they can show up with artillery. They had to show up with 2 75mm field guns and a 105mm gun just so they could bombard the entire post office. So they start bombarding the post office with fucking artillery and then send in another attack, and they're still pushed back yet again. With German command having no idea what to do, they just start using everything they have. They get mortar teams out there and the mortarmen start trying to drop mortars on the post office, but they're so inaccurate they end up posing more of a threat to the Germans than they do to the Polish mailmen. So they have to call off the attack. They issue a 2-hour ceasefire and tell the Polish guys like, hey, you got 2 hours, think about it, you should probably just come out and surrender. Over the next several hours, the Germans would dig underneath the wall of the post office and plant 1,200...
I'm gonna go back here a bit. I kind of like how they just try to call them out again, even after there's like 4 different fail attacks, and it's like, please come out because you're making us look like really bad.
The Polish guys like, hey, you got 2 hours, think about it, you should probably just come out and surrender. Over the next several hours, the Germans would dig underneath the wall of the post office and plant 1,200 pounds of explosives. The Germans would then blow an enormous hole in the post office wall as they rushed in to ambush the mailmen. But the Polish mailmen refused to surrender as they retreated back to the basement where there was one way in and no way out. And yet again, the Germans have no idea what to do from here because the Polish mailmen are just sitting at the bottom of this staircase with 3 Browning machine guns waiting for them to try to come get them so they can gun them down, and the Germans have no idea how to proceed. At this point, the German commander comes to the realization that these mail carriers are not going to quit defending their post office.
Definitely
as long as
not.
there's a post office to defend, and he is just going to get rid of the entire building altogether as he orders the Danzig Fire Department to begin flooding the basement full of gasoline. The mailmen immediately recognize the smell and begin evacuating the basement as quickly as they could, but not before the gasoline would be ignited by a grenade, killing 3 of them before the rest could escape. With the building burning and nowhere else to go, many of the postal workers decided that they wanted to surrender, but Alphonse Flizakovsky and 5 other men knew that if they surrendered, they would not be treated well by the Nazis. So they decided that they were going to try to run and escape. The other 36 mail carriers decided to surrender, leaving the building under a white flag. The Germans immediately shot and killed the postal worker that was carrying that white flag and took the remainder as prisoners. Of the other 6 postal workers that escaped, Alphonse Flizakovsky and 1 other would be captured the next day on September 2nd, as the other 4 would actually escape and get away. This would bring the total count of mail carriers that were captured to 38. Over the following days, 10 of them would die in the hospital due to injuries they sustained during the battle and during the fire. The remaining 28 were then declared illegal combatants by the Nazis, and they were all sentenced to death. This decision would later be declared a war crime because these men were not illegal combatants. They were trained and led into battle by Konrad Gdarsky, an active and serving military officer in the Polish military.
I would point them out as illegal, stupid.
Under his command and the command of Alphonse Flizakovsky, 43 mailmen went toe-to-toe with 180 German SS soldiers reinforced with artillery and armored cars. 8 of them would die in combat, taking with them 10 Nazis and injuring 22 more. And those are just the official numbers from the Germans, which are most likely understated due to their extreme embarrassment. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go check out thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang. Out.
Again, I'm telling you, if it wasn't for the fat electrician, we would never know about the story, would we? And the bunch of battles that would go on that we know about, we can read about, that there's videos, there's movies, there's Band of Brothers, the Pacific, and all those great battles that we know about. Well, we'd never find out about the unsung heroes if it wasn't for Fat Electrician. And that's going to sit in my brain for a couple of hours thinking about the Mailmen, the brave, beyond brave, fought the Nazis like that. Let me know what you think. I really did enjoy this. Yet again, and I've learned. Get educated. If you did enjoy this, don't forget to smack the like and, of course, hit that subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. If you want to support me, click join to become a member or check out the coolest link ever pinned on top of all the other comments. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. I'm Recky. You stay safe.